Hi everyone. Well, you are about to see how I coax Tessa to come out of her enclosure. And today I'm going to sit and discuss, those fat, obese snakes. Because sometimes you need to know there is other circumstances behind that. And Tessa may be a real prime example of that for everybody to see and understand fat obese and not fat obese and so on. So I'm going to turn this around, I hope, but generally I can't by just, I'm touching the screen right now so that maybe not, but I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, but you can't see me. You can see Tessa, I hope. And I really want her to come on out today again. I had her outside the other day because the sun was shining. Well, actually, sorry, I apologize. The sun was not exactly shining when she went outside. It was fractionally later and cooler than I would normally take my snakes out at this time of the year, but for me, a big snake like Tessa absolutely needs her exercise. I think it is so vital to a big snake to keep them. This gives you a good view of Tessa's enclosure, which is, quite a big enclosure for her. She does utilize each and every level in this enclosure. Jesse, not so much. Jesse spends most of his life up top. And he has a 2-level hammock, the spoilt boy, but he sometimes is in the complete top level of his hammock, or he's basically on this level of the hammock. He has also got a shelf down here that he could go on if he chose to. He doesn't have this as Tessa does, because this is Jack's old enclosure and was Lily's old enclosure. But yeah, Tessa, she will be down on this shelf, loves this shelving area, which Jack did as well. It seemed to be his favourite place. Of course, she does lay out on this whole hammock. It's all spread across for her so that her whole body can lay out. Of course, she cannot completely stretch out in this enclosure, so I don't see a lot of climbing up and down from either Jessie or her. I see her come down and find her spot on top of a hide. Even over on the log here, she will go and lay on, or behind the back of those branches in kind of the forked area, she will go and curl up. And so I do see Tessa utilize every one of these levels that I've created for her. Just nudge you along to come on out and say hello to everybody today, so we can discuss, big, fat snakes, you could say. Now listen, she is all coiled up, so there's going to be an element of, as you can see, scale spread in that particular area of her body, because she's curled around. But when she's all spread out, there is no scale spread on Tessa. So, you know, I want her out so that you can see her, and I've, you know, did a video where she was around my shoulders and you could actually just see how big Tessa actually is compared to me. Now I'm 5'2", but I'd like to see you with her on me, sitting there with me, so you can really see Tessa's size. Okay, I finally have Tessa out. She wasn't too bad actually. She realised that I was asking her to actually come out, so yeah, she turned around and she started coming my way, which is really wonderful. Recognizing, look at her, look, I just love Tessa's colours. She's not a dark Bredli. She is got some beautiful oranges and yellows, and she's just incredible. And leading on to the hypo gene or genetics, looking at her, she puffs me out. I don't know why she puffs me out. I just think I'm unfit, to be perfectly honest with you all. And yeah, sometimes I think Tessa's unfit too, being such a big girl with so much body to move around. She's not overly active, and hence why, you know, which you can't see, but I have all the climbing space that I have for my bigger snakes to enjoy inside my house, as well as, you know, allowing them to go outside and do their stuff outside. But, you know, often people do feel that, you know, they see, you know, Bredlis, well, they see coastals. You know, I've got a big jungle. I've got a little jungle too. I mean, Lily is the epitome of quite a slim jungle carpet python. Jessie leads more onto the chubba bubba level of a jungle. And Tessa, well, what can I say to you all? But there's no scale spread, guys. There's no scale spread there whatsoever. And Tessa's size, yes, you can get yourself a really, really big snake that isn't really meant to be a really big snake by either power feeding them or by overfeeding them, I guess you could say. But I have not done that with Tessa at all. I have not power fed her or overfed her. You know, I give Tessa large rats, which are half the size of her belly. And, you know, if I look at that large rat, if that large rat I feel is on the smaller end of being a large rat, you know, I'll let her go a couple of weeks. If I get a large rat that is a little bit bigger than that size, I might let her go, excuse me, 3 weeks. If I feed Tessa a jumbo, and trust me, our jumbos are little too. In actual fact, sometimes I find the extra large rats are bigger. But should I feed her one of those, then she's going to go a month between her next feed. Now, yes, for the first, well, I got her at 8.5 months. So, you know, I believe in feeding that smaller feeder, which was a small weaner, at that particular point every 5 days. And then when she hit sort of that I established really good feeding every 5 days. For her, I slowed it down a bit and I decided to give her a hopper, a small weaner every week at around the 10, 11 months of age. And, then she went on to small weaners every fortnight and so forth. But she grew and she grew and she grew. And I was not honestly expecting this great big girl. But that is what I've got. And what I need to say to you is, don't let anybody accuse you of overfeeding or power feeding just because you end up with what might be considered to be a big snake. That shouldn't, as far as the book is concerned, should not be a big snake. I thought I'd just show you a little bit of footage of us outside. The sun disappeared. It was shining and it's kind of gone behind a dark cloud, but it's not cold, and it's certainly not cold enough where it's going to affect Tessa. Outside with Tessa is where I'm going to lead off with what I was saying, that a big snake does not mean that you have done anything wrong yourself, and don't allow anybody to ever accuse you of overfeeding or power feeding because you just happen to get yourself the bigger than the average. I swear sometimes that there's something wrong with this tail of hers, like it's in a constant sideward sit. I don't know, it could be just a Tessa thing. I don't know, but yeah, that tail's got to be funny. Yeah, don't let anybody do that, and please don't go buy a book that tells you that they're the average of your, especially a Bredli, I will say, any snake, because of course I've got Jessie that is considered to be the chubber, but there's no overfeeding, there's no power feeding here. And if I went by the book, I'd be really concerned that what did I do and what shouldn't I have done and so forth. But I know that I haven't done that with Tessa at all, and it is just who she is. And sometimes I look at her and I think to myself, how did you get so big? Like, what is the deal here? I didn't get to see her parents, and sometimes that can give you a good idea as well, the size of the offspring. I do know somebody who has a sibling, and I must contact them to send me a picture. They've got a male. Tessa, of course, is a female, and it would be very interesting to see the size that even his boy has grown. Just so I know, because I honestly do. I shake my head. I just shake my head, think, wow, like, do I really want, or should have one? And I've done a video about that. Should I have a big snake like this all by myself? Like, honestly, truthfully, probably not. Anything above, what do they say? I don't know, 9, 10 foot. For a 5'2" person, I probably should have 2 people when I get Tessa out. I don't have that luxury, but it's not going to stop me getting her out either, because it is something that Tessa just needs, and really needs it. she deserves it. Like, honestly, she totally deserves it. And that's how I see it with all my snakes. Now, not so much my little snakes. You know, yes, I bring them outside, but I don't, you know, I give them their space to do a little bit of running around, you could say. But overall, they don't get the freedom that my big snakes do. I just feel that big snakes, like, how can they do this in an enclosure? How can they stretch themselves out like this in an enclosure? They can't, unless you've got this long enclosure, which, you know, I don't have for Tessa. I have a higher enclosure with the less length, but I don't, you know, where the sun comes out and you disappear into the shade, and that isn't going to be happening. You need to come out in the sun. But she's, you know, under the caravan looks really good. So anyway, guys, bye.